Starting the recording and welcoming you all to Pansexual Soul Play. I intend in this kind of time together that we dive deep into the full range of your hermaphroditic soul. Now, some of you may or may not identify as having, a soul of both genders. And that's something we're going to explore in this time together. And it's something I'm going to invite you to try on for the sake of getting the most out of this energy play festival. And of course, as with everything I teach, I ask you to don't believe me. Don't just take on my practices, my beliefs, or my path, because as a guide, the deepest work I can do is point you in the direction of your soul as a teacher, and for you to experience things directly. And sometimes in order to have that direct experience, we have to set the mind aside. We have to take off our preconceived notions and teachings and conditioning, take it aside, and then say, let me try on this hour-long practice and see what new is possible. Okay, so Kirsten, I'm going to stop admitting people totally. I'm going to put you entirely on that job so I can focus. And the roadmap, in a moment, we'll do a little more sacred space containing. Actually, we're going to do a meditation together. And then we're going to delve deeper into the pelvis and the energies that, are hopefully awakened already or awakening, but for some of us, somewhat late, latent or dormant. And we're going to play with these energies. Oh, wrong book. I woke up from my meditation. Well, is this morning. I woke up from my dream and I wrote some notes. Then I went into meditation and I got clarity. I'm like, here's the journey I want to take you guys on. And jotted it down in my half-sleep writing, can hardly read my own notes. We're going to do this. First I'm going to share with you a brief centering, a little about my journey to frame the class, and then we'll do this visualization that's going to take us deep into our own energy body. Awake. I'm going to dive back into our roadmap, which involves so after we do our energy practice and we get into our pelvis, then we're going to do a brief dyad in the breakout rooms. And then we will go from that into this expression forum where I'm going to take some courageous volunteers, and it'll be, just a few of us who really have the charge. I like to say, when we're in a group circle like this, sometimes there's a lightning bolt that comes through and it's for the group, and whoever feels that charge, and sometimes the charge feels like, no, don't pick me. But we're going to get you to actually share some of what your contra-sexual self has to share. So that'll be sort of the dessert of the class before we do our closing circle. With that as our intention, I'm going to invite you to rub your hands together and take a few breaths into both the heart, and then place your other hand on your sex. So find a comfortable position where your hands are really melting into your chakras, and you can deepen your breath. Follow the breath all the way down into the pelvic bowl and notice as it turns inside out. So let the breath hit its bottom and invert into an inhalation all the way to the top through the heart, where it flips over and relaxes into the pelvis. So follow the breath itself. Get out of the mind, drop out of the mind, and just follow the energy in the arc from the pelvis to the heart. Feeling a circuit, the heart and the pelvis. And then welcoming in your non-dominant contra-sexual self. Without even having to know what that means, you just welcome in the greater non-physical self that's fully expressed masculine and feminine. And the whole range in between, because we're not binary. So you're experiencing the dance as you breathe in and out, that there's masculine currents penetrating your system, and there's feminine currents that are embracing and encasing this energy with a warm current of receptivity and love. Allow yourself permission if arousal is your natural state. What would it feel like to be interpenetrating yourself for 3 more breaths? And let that permission blossom into an image of the jewel within the lotus. Making a big sigh or sound on the exhale, opening your eyes when you're ready. So I'm delighted to be sharing on a subject that is so passionately near and dear to my heart. I am, for those of you that are just meeting me, I'm KamalaDevi McClure, and my journey on this path, particularly like the awakening to the masculine, feminine energies that are within myself and all of us, most strongly, I would say my whole life kind of reoriented. My center of gravity shifted 20 years ago when I was in Hawaii and I was living in an artist commune. I had an awakening to, and it was more of a Hindu canon, like Shiva and Shakti. That's within. At the time I was a lineage holding yoga teacher. And so it felt like Shiva and Shakti were making love inside my body, which, 20 years ago, that was kind of scary. And then I set off on a quest to find like, what the hell happened and what is this? And so I've been studying and practicing and teaching Tantra, but more than Tantra, also Poly and kink and other energy, forms of expressing energy. And so the proposal that I have for you to contemplate, I know that we come from a diverse range. We've got a very a beautifully creative and diverse community here today. But what if we open to a different map? So in addition to whatever your belief system is, here's a map I'm going to propose, which is that as the soul incarnates, so the soul's coming into form, or perhaps it's emerging from form. I'm as a Tantra teacher, it's like a lot of what we do is we collapse polarities. So whether the soul emerges from spirit from form or spirit comes down into form, I'm not on just a descending path into the pleasure, into the body, into the senses, but also an ascending path. Like the middle path is really of both directions. So I'm going to invite you into the possibility and the map that the soul is hermaphroditic. And I don't say androgynous because a lot of times androgyny means like, not masculine or feminine. But hermaphroditic is fully feminine and fully masculine. And then when it comes into a body, most of our bodies are binary, right? We have between our legs developing, many of us, either a yoni or a lingam, and the doctor will be like, look, it's a little penis, it's a little vagina, and then it's declared what color blanket you're going to be swaddled in and what color room you're going to have and what kind of toys you're going to play with, and the whole journey. You know how we get programmed. I'm not going to go over our many of us lived it, and there are people in the group who are also intersex, and our chromosomes are of some combination of X and Y, and that is not normative. So there's a continuum, there's a range here. But I'm not here today to talk about being transgender or your political identity or gender politics. This is about energy. This is about the frequency of the soul that got separated into a binary form. Or even if you're non-binary or non-gender, you're gender conforming, you're still not able to express the fullness. At least, I haven't met anybody in my life yet, and I'm looking, whose body can express the fullness of the soul and its capacity. So a big part of what we're doing in today's class is saying, let me raise my vibration to express more of my soul. And that means let me reclaim my contra-sexual self. Let me open to the part of me that's not just been either denied when the doctor made that declaration, or denied in the mirror by my own reflection or the reflection of my peers or my family, and it's that part of me that doesn't get a voice, that part of me that doesn't get, whose personality didn't get to form. And sometimes when we start doing this work, and by this work, I mean reclaiming our inner masculine or feminine, whatever the opposite is of your physical form, we find on the journey that we're very young. We find that, wow, this part of me hasn't gotten to socialize or to express itself or to know itself. So sometimes it's like an immature, rebellious teenager. Sometimes it's like really younger than that. And sometimes it's just like fractured. Some of us may have this very stately king who's extremely considerate at some levels, but then totally reactive and immature in other levels. And so I want to bring up that in addition to our reclaiming our inner opposite, we're also on a healing journey to heal that split of mature and immature. That our inner opposite has some mature qualities that we model after, the most ideal role models that we have, but then immature qualities because they never got to develop, express, practice, play, which is necessary for our full expression. So the frame that I'm offering you is to say that within you, there's, whether you want to call it an alter ego or a part of your psyche or a part of yourself that shamanically, if you will, wants to be reclaimed. And what does that mean? I'll just frame that most people here know what trauma is. Psychologically, the definition is often like a coping strategy or dissociative trauma is when like there's more pain that we can handle, either physically or emotionally or psychologically. And so we sometimes dissociate and don't go away and don't feel it, or can't handle it, so we just block it out. And what happens when parts of us are not felt or embodied or welcomed in or really alive with the breath is we go numb and unaware. And I'm proposing that the degree to which our culture separates masculine and feminine, that cultural split is so extreme that we have kind of a collective trauma around our full expression as hermaphroditic souls. So my hope in the exercise we're about to do is to start a soul reclamation. So we're going to intend to start to recapitulate or call in the contra-sexual self and embrace it and welcome it and develop a deeper relationship with it. Now, many of you are already well on your way in this path, but we're going to do particular exercises today because it's a life study. It's a life path. It's something that I could spend my whole life and I have devoted the last 20 years to doing, but want to do more and never find any end to it, because it's not about the destination. It's about who we're becoming in the process. We're all evolving, towards our full expression. And even that, when we get there, continues to blossom. So, having set away notions of identity politics or ideas of the work that you've done before, what I'm going to ask us to do is be here right now as we delve into a visualization. And again, I'm going to invite you to put your hands, on your heart and your genitals, and give yourself permission. Just feel your sex. Like, say, this is my sacred space between my legs, and this is my sacred space between my nipples, my heart space. And we're going to go into a little visualization. And I'm not going to take any questions, by the way, until after we do the breakout group. So I'm just asking you, like, if questions arise, cool, like, capture them, but stay as present as you can, and we'll do an exercise and then we'll come back and share. So now that we have our hands on our precious body, we deepen our breath. And tune in to the heart as a portal. So first you feel the ribs, the lungs, the chest. As you breathe and expand, the physical heart as a pump is obvious. But there's an energetic portal. You may even want to open the back door of your heart between your wings, welcoming in the heart of your whole self. And as you welcome in your contra-sexual self, then you're going to just notice the sensations in your body. Notice the taste in your mouth, the sounds in the room. So welcoming your sensory receptors as you drop, because we want to be really in the body as we drop down through the core, the ecstatic vibratory core of the body into the sex. Feeling your pelvis fill with acceptance, awareness. And you may even want to rock your pelvis a little, tilting your tailbone and giving permission to the natural juice or arousal, especially if you've been sitting on your sex. You want to just wake it up and give it permission to be here now, beyond the habit. So you may have a relationship with your sex and think you know what it looks and feels like, but we're going to shift. In this moment, it's a little shamanic shape shifting into the remembrance that we all started off feminine. So you want to feel the formation of your female sexuality. So regardless of what your body is, you're remembering that the internal ovaries are forming, and they actually have in them, when you're being born, all of the eggs that you'll ever have. And so you have the seed of life inside, internally, in the ovaries, always through your life. And you have externally the beautiful folds. You know, they didn't drop down into testicles, so you have lips and folds like a flower between your legs, and the little stamen of the flower is your clit, the center of all your pleasure. And allow yourself to remember and feel that. And if you're, you know, in a physical male body, really allow the head of your penis to enliven with the sensory organ of the clit, like become activated with even more nerve cells, nerve endings, and feel the sensation. Breathe into it. And everybody's now breathing into this beautiful cavern or cave, feeling like a crystal cave that's so sacred and special and sensitive. And feeling her connection to the moon and the cycles, knowing that the feminine is always going through this blossoming, as well as this retreating into the dark winter, each month cycling, shedding, cleansing itself. Like, feel the cycles in the body, the inherent wisdom of the yoni, and how deep inside the yoni there's also a womb that has access. It's a stargate. It has access to the cosmos. So feel the space in which life is born, and just really honor the sacredness of the entire female sexual complex with a few more breaths. Feeling also the secondary development of the breasts as you breathe. Feeling the smoothness, the roundness of your skin, and the emotions that flow through the estrogen and progesterone cycles that are fluctuating through the body, biologically, just feeling the mystery that it is to be female. And I want you to listen for the next 2 breaths to see if your inner feminine has a mantra or a message, something it wants you to know from your depths. And then I'm going to invite you to close this half of the meditation with a sound, which is Ma, and let that feminine primal energy penetrate or vibrate through your being. Inhale. And you can keep your eyes closed if you wish, but I'm going to invite you to shake your body, to shake it and to vibrate it and to feel the shamanic shape shifting into the masculine pole. So you want to take a moment to vibrate and open to Shiva energy. When you're ready to ground down, everybody's going into a little masculine journey where you feel that there is between your legs a wand of light. And again, this is a remembering of the collective, that inside everyone, there's the potential for the masculine. You feel, if you have a yoni, if you're a yoni bearer, then you allow your lips to get full and drop down. And you can even imagine your ovaries coming into your lips and dropping into your gonads, and feel the potency of life being held and carried outside of the body, and the magic creation of the seed. So for a moment, as your testicles are forming, allow yourself to breathe and be right here, right now. Because part of the magic of the seed, the semen, is that it's like 24 hours old, that it gets generated and regenerated right here, right now. So it's imminent. When you feel that power of testosterone as it starts to flood into your sex, and it's feeling the clit grow full and thick, feeling the center of your sex taking up space now between your legs, outside your body. And with that taking up space, you may want to take up space in your own physical form, broaden your chest, feel yourself more grounded, and feel the vulnerability of having external genitals. You may even want to just move your hips a bit to feel what that is like, to have your defining masculine characteristic outside your body so exposed. And imagine your hand, growing full, in the power of the erectile tissue, and how the shaft will grow and cycle, and the rhythm of it becoming full versus flaccid, and what that's like to be so physically commanding of space and attention, and that it's not easy to hide your own arousal that's right there. So just let yourself feel the power of the phallus, the beauty of your testicles, the shaft, the head of your cock. And with that, allow your body to feel its strength, a reinforcing sheath around your muscles. Feel the hair that would grow on your chest or the stubble on your face. Take a moment to really feel there's a coarseness and a thickness to your hands and feet, and just notice how this testosterone brings with it, and like a directive to take action, that there's more of a protective, less just allow your emotions to be stabilized into this masculine, healthy masculine form, a steadiness, embodied. So notice what's happening in your body as you allow your masculine to manifest. Feeling too the changes that makes, maybe the Adam's apple, or in your thoughts being more linear. And for the last 3 breaths, we're going to listen to the divine masculine within for a mantra or a message, and give it permission to really inform you. What does the masculine have to say right now? And supercharging this divine father, brother, boy energy with the sound ba, for in Baba is the father energy, and we're just going to say ba. Inhale. Ba. Beautiful. And once again, you can integrate that by shaking your body. So I'm going to invite you to circulate that energy and breathe it. And as you're doing that, I'm going to make breakout rooms so that we can have a little exercise to share. And this is where I'm going to need extra help from my hosts. And I'm also going to ask for extra flexibility on your part. Because if technology has a glitch, then I want you to just journal. So my intention is to put us into breakout rooms. However, if for some reason the person in your breakout room isn't there or there's a problem, we can try to readjust you, but chances are, if it doesn't line up perfectly, you just do this exercise in journaling, and it's very about, especially those of you who are joining us just on the replay video, this as a journaling is a very intimate, powerful practice. Now, if you do happen to get a partner, here's what the instructions are. We're going to give you, 6 minutes. So the idea is really just 3 minutes each partner, during which time partner one would share, okay, here's my inner opposite. If you're, in my case, I'm in female form, so I might show up and say, I had an experience of my inner opposite, and he said this mantra, or it felt, he felt, and in my case, it's like, he felt really strong, really directed, like really like confident, a little bit like arrogant, and just really share like what arose for you in your inner masculine. And if you want to play with it, because you've got 3 minutes, that's longer than what arose in the visualization, you want to maybe give him a name, maybe share, wow, here's how he looked differently than I did. Here's how he, his build, his body. And, in my case, like, and I want to be really honest with you guys, the first time that I did this exercise, like I said, it's been 20 years I've been doing this practice, and our inner selves will evolve. But the first time, honestly, my inner masculine was obese and actually disabled. And there was a real sense of like, this is someone who needs healing. And it may surprise you, but just allow yourself, even in the speaking with your partner or in the journaling, to be surprised by what's coming up. So you can even forget about the meditation if you want, and externally process, this is what's arising right now in these 3 minutes, to which your partner is going to thank you. Your partner is really just there to accept, appreciate what was shared. Thank you for sharing. The cycle will change over. So we're not cross-talking unless, your partner needs some encouragement or questions to help them if they're stuck. But really, we're just there to support each other. And then it's the 3 minute, you get to, we'll do a little announcement saying, hey, change over, but please be mindful of 3 minutes each. So manage your own time. And then we'll call you back in, and then we'll do both Q&As in the next exercise. Okay. What's happening in my contra-sexual self, my inner opposite? And so what I would love to do is take questions from those of you who are having a powerful experience or insight or got a nugget from these practices. And I know that there's people in the room who are like, hey, I'm having resistance and I've got questions and this feels awkward and I'm not getting it. And that's perfect. I want to embrace that. And I'm going to ask you to just observe. So what happens is, let's get a transmission from those people who have a strong experience that are getting it, that can give us a transmission, and maybe that will speak to it's transrational. That'll speak to a part of you that is stuck. And so to do that, I'm going to ask my assistant to help me. You can raise your hand. Actually, let's do it this way, just putting your hand up like this. I see Sarah, I see some raised hands, so we can do it that way as well. And we're gonna just take a few shares, starting with, whose hand is up? Okay, so I see Kate. We're gonna start there. And then Sarah. Kate, you're unmuted. And I'm gonna pause the recording. Some of these shares evoke empathy for the opposite sex that we didn't even know we could access until we, reclaim our inner opposite. Now we can understand, there's this war of the sexes that is so intangible until we heal the war inside of ourselves. So that's really, really beautiful. So the closing homework, really, as we've done this exploration into our inner opposite, is like Danny modeled for us, is to say, what is the thing that I do that gives my inner opposite space to be them? How can I establish more of a relationship with this part of me? And as we move into this energy, sex, soul play, the more that we embody our contra-sexual self, the greater magnetism we have, the more range of power and play that we can bring to our beloveds. But what's most important is the wholeness that we get. It really is a type of a soul retrieval. And once we call all of us back home, we reclaim, the disowned parts of us. It's deep shadow work. Once we call that in, then it raises our vibration so that we're no longer looking for our other half on the other side. We're not looking for someone else to be that polarity for us, because we have the polarity within us. And it then means we are infinitely more attractive to people, and we start attracting other people who are whole, not other halves looking to fulfill each other. So for that reason, I want you to continue this work, continue it all weekend, and stay in touch with me. I'm KamalaDevi. In fact, we're going to turn over, but I have a free gift for you. I'll post it on the group. Love to be in touch with all of you through that in my newsletter. And I'm sending you lots of love this weekend. Blessings. Blessings. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That was amazing, and I would love to work with you.
Oh, good. I look forward to staying in touch.
All those people. He's like, yes, because your eyeball. Like,
We're gonna.
Look at your eyeball.
I'm going to ask everyone to. We're going to end the meeting for the next class to start, but I'm looking
Yeah,
Everyone's leaving.
next class is starting. So if you're staying for that, you can stay for the lecture.
I'm ending
Transitioning.
Turn it off.